Before showing you the aftermath of the recent frosts, I want to detail some of the characteristics of the recent severe weather event. It wasn't just the frost. It was a severe frost, down as low as minus 6.9 degrees C here, minus 9 degrees C in Kerry and elsewhere in Ireland, according to reliable sources. And it was a prolonged frost. I recorded 11 consecutive days when the temperature was below freezing. On several days, the cold conditions were accompanied by freezing fog. And this is important because, unlike snow, which is full of air and an insulator, freezing fog coats the foliage in ice, which is far more damaging. The end of the cold snap was accompanied by some heavy rain, which, when it hit the frozen surfaces, turned the ice into an even more dense and airless solid. Despite the severe conditions, the majority of my mini forest has done remarkably well, with some very pleasant surprises and also some interesting localized variations. This is the third day after the thaw started, and from experience it takes around 7 days for the full extent of any frost damage to manifest. A subscriber specifically asked about the Eucalyptus regnans, and they've definitely been a surprise. I was led to believe that these would only be frost hardy to around minus 6, and as you can see, there's pretty much absolutely no frost damage whatsoever. Very surprising and very pleasing. The lower foliage on the obliqua, same family as regnans, has definitely had some frost damage, and some of the other foliage too. Very specifically there you can see what it looks like. I would expect these all to recover though. It's not severe enough to hamper them completely. And this one here, as I say about localized specimens, this one's in much better condition. These are leucoxylon, and I knew these would struggle. Fingers crossed they recover, but I knew these wouldn't be terribly hardy. What is a surprise are these Johnstonii. There are some magnificent specimens of Johnstonii in Ireland which must have survived many frosts, are now 40 metres tall, and yet these Johnstonii haven't done so well. They were only planted this year, so they may come back. The Johnstonii up on the bank did come back and is still growing. Compare that to subcrenulata, which are the same family, and these are absolutely thriving. They're still putting out new growth, and there's no damage whatsoever on subcrenulata. The mahogany substitutes that I had so much high hope for, as you can see, they are struggling. Fingers crossed they recover, though I'm not that hopeful. The older leaves on the perenniana, the juvenile foliage, has been damaged, though the adult foliage is in fabulous condition. No frost damage whatsoever. As you can see, very, very healthy. Not a mark on them. The same can't be said for these globulus. I'm hopeful that these will come back, though also, as I say, definitely a lot of local variation. because this one, although it does have frost damage, isn't nearly as badly affected. It is more open to the south and the sun here. Surprisingly, there is some slight frost damage on the parvula. And I say surprisingly because these are good for -18. So it is very localised, and generally speaking these are fine. Pulverulenta, the higher up leaves are definitely fine. They do tend to look a bit scruffy further down, older foliage. So not sure if that's frost damage or just the old foliage starting to degrade. Glossines, again, they don't seem to be affected at all. No damage even to the growing tips. And these are developing adult foliage now. And again, absolutely no damage at all. Likewise, these are Arnagera, and Arnagera are very tough and hardy. Even the very newest growth there is fine. Hey folks, are you still hungry? These are Cinerea, and these haven't been too bad considering these were absolutely coated in ice. So quite pleased with how these are. Hey Foxy, are you pleased with how these are? Hey? Snow gums. Well, you would expect snow gums to be absolutely fine, and they are, just in fabulous condition. These are Archiri, and these are quite surprising because these are absolutely fine. Thought these might be a little bit softer, but no, they're absolutely in great condition. So definitely one of my picks for floral foliage is Archiri. These are Ovata, one of the swamp gums, and yeah, generally these are fine as well. Hey Foxy, do you think these are fine? Hey, what do you reckon? Yeah, you won't like the dogs, eh? Not to worry, they're not coming down here, Foxy. You can be rest assured of that. I'll go and get you another egg before carrying on, will I? You just look gorgeous there, Foxy, posing. You get just being aware of the dogs, are you? Very alert and attentive. Yeah. Okay, so back to the Ovata, and generally speaking these are fine. Absolutely no damage at all. Fabulous condition. There is some very minor frost damage to the very tips of the leaves on these freshly planted nitens. Although in general the nitens are just in fabulously good condition. Hardly affected at all. And this nitens, which I didn't consider to be in good enough condition to sell and chucked on a compost heap, admittedly it's going to get all the nutrients and all the energy from all the rotting vegetation. It also doesn't have much in the way of competition at the moment. It's thriving. It doesn't seem to have any frost damage at all, and that would be one of the things that I would say generally about all vegetation, all living things. If you give them good nutrition, plenty of room to grow, then they will, and they'll be healthy. While I'm down here, these are Camphora, and these are in very good condition. No frost damage at all whatsoever. These are Rodwai, another swamp gum, And yeah, there is some damage. These are on a very exposed bank, so you'd expect some damage, but generally speaking these are doing fine. I knew they would, to be quite honest. Quite happy that these will come back as well, even if they do have some damage, which it doesn't appear as though they've got much. These are Moor Anna. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. These were only planted this year, so these don't have any damage at all whatsoever either. These are Viminalis. I'm pretty sure these will come back. However, these have been outside, and what I was saying earlier on about it's not so much the cold, it's the other factors that have an impact. These Viminalis in plug trays have been in this polytunnel, which is not airtight and non-insulated, got down to -6.9, and these are as healthy as I've seen. The Gunnii, as you would expect, absolutely fine. I did grow these in Edinburgh and they survived -9 for more than 2 weeks, and as you can see, very healthy. Absolutely no damage even on the very tips of the very new growth. Though this is localised, as you can see there's definite frost damage to these Gunnii. Assuming these are Gunnii. And next door to this is a Viminalis, and you can see all the colour draining out of these leaves. That's very evidently there, you can see exactly what frost damage looks like on the leaves of eucalyptus. Although, same tree further up, no frost damage at all. So, not sure if that's coming out. There you go, absolutely no frost damage on those, so very localised. This is a metre away, pretty sure this is a Gunnii. Might be a Dalryampliana, a mountain gum. Wouldn't like to say one way or the other. Anyways, absolutely no frost damage whatsoever on that. These are MacArthuri, and these have been freshly planted, and these are actually doing quite well. There's frost damage on some of the lower leaves, though interestingly, considering these are so young and tenderly planted, well, not tenderly planted, but freshly planted, the fresh growth is fine. Just going to touch on a couple more Viminalis. This one does have a touch of frost damage, though only on the very new growth, and even the year-old leaves are absolutely fine. Another Viminalis, and the lower growth definitely has quite severe frost damage. The higher up you go, the less damage there is. So to summarise, as I said at the beginning, the vast majority of my mini forest and my hedges have done absolutely fine. Really pleased with how they've rode out the severe weather event. There's been significant local variation and height variation, as I've demonstrated. The Regnans have been a real surprise, real high hopes for Regnans, as not just for firewood but as a commercial timber tree. I'd love to be making my own timber for my small projects. The swamp mahogany, robusta-botrytis, I'm still hopeful. Fingers crossed they recover. I'll have another go. This has been a particularly severe frost and a prolonged one with freezing fog, so that's not going to come around too often. So I will persevere with them. If I can get them to even 7-10 10 years old, then I've got a substantial, profitable harvest from those. Hope that helps. Meantime, good luck.